What is up, YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. Today I bring you the 2021 Buick Envision Avenir. Because of COVID, car manufacturers have a really tough time to bring everybody together to actually have a physical car launch. So they don't send nice, fancy gifts to our house. They don't send pretty little things so that the wives can open them up and get all hoopty about how nice the stuff they send. They also don't send us to beautiful spas to have ourselves treated and don't feed us like kings. And with that said, they obviously don't want us to tell you something nice about this 2021 Buick Envision Avenir. So we're gonna be honest with you and tell you the truth. So this is the Buick Envision, and this is the Avenir, which is their highest trim you can get in the Envision. And I'm gonna break down today the elephant in the room, because you guys need to know that I envision this Buick to be built in the US. Except it's not. So in 2020, they sold 36,000 Buick Envisions in the US. And you'd think that this was fully North American built, except they sold 167,000 Envisions in China. This is built in China, and you're thinking, what? So the US taxpayer were like, no way, we can allow GM, our own American product, to be built in China and then import it into the US and then pay tariffs on it. How can the American taxpayers even swallow this? They were the ones that bailed out GM, and now you're getting them to be built in China? What's up with that? And why should we support you? And the answer is this. The answer is they need you guys to buy it, because if you don't buy it, they can't afford to put another factory and go bankrupt again. So you gotta buy it. So this Buick Envision Avenir is now going to be called Avenir for the rest of this video. We're not going to call it Envision because Envision does not roll off my tongue. They should change the name, but they can't. So the front of this car is different. It doesn't look like your traditional Buick. They've really modernized it, made it more sporty. It is wider, lower, shorter than the previous model. You can also get this in a sport trim, and that deletes some chrome and it blacks out everything on the vehicle, including different 20s, which I'll show you in a second. But the cool part about this is there's a lot more than meets the eye, and they've actually pulled a lot of pieces from the Cadillac XT4. I'm telling you, this is pretty much its twin. So if you are looking at a Cadillac XT4, and we have actually reviewed it on the channel before right here, you guys should take a look at it and watch it, and then watch this video, because they are very, very similar. So much so, they have pretty much everything exactly the same. And as I go through this video, I'm gonna explain to you some of the small differences. So let's take a look under the hood. So this has something called wing-shaped lighting, and it has a really cool feature in the welcome home. So when you get into the car, it gives you this sort of welcome home feature. Pretty cool in those lights. But under the hood, we've got a 4-cylinder, 2-liter turbo that makes 228 horsepower and 257 foot-pounds of torque, which is pretty much the exact same output of an Audi Q5. Except this is mated to a 9-speed transmission, unlike the Audis are mated to an 8-speed transmission. This does have an all-wheel drive with a twin disc clutch that can transfer power from side to side to hit the wheel that has the most grip. Sort of similar stuff to the Audi. So they've kind of pulled that out of the Audi basket, because this does compare with an Audi Q5. A little bit different, priced less, but it does compare against it. Now this is supposed to compare, as I mentioned, to an Audi Q5, but it doesn't really in my mind. It competes between an Audi Q3 and an Audi Q5. It's somewhere in the middle. Same with a Ford Escape. It's not really as small as a Ford Escape, and it's definitely not as big as a Ford Edge. So it's kind of somewhere in the middle, and that's how I see this laid out. Now against an XT4 from Cadillac, again, the engine makes exactly the same horsepower, except this makes about 5 horsepower less. So very similar, but essentially the same thing. Exact same size, exact same bore stroke ratio, it's all the same. Crazy part about it is that it has pretty much the exact same wheelbase. So from here to here is exactly the same. It actually has the exact same interior specs as far as headroom, width, and shoulder room. It's exactly the same. The only difference being is in the back, it's slightly smaller in this Avenir. And as far as trunk room goes, this is larger because just the design of it. So the shell is larger in this, and it gives 1.5 inch longer length, but the wheelbase is identical. So if you are in the market for something like this, look at the XT4 and look at this. So on the side here, you've got 20-inch wheels that are finished in what they call Avenir Pearl Finish. Avenir Pearl Finish, if you didn't get it. They also do have 360 cameras. You see the cameras underneath there. And they actually do have locks in the back handles as well. So you can lock and unlock the doors from the back, not just the front. Kia, I'm talking to you. And in terms of what Kia brings to the table and what this brings to the table, I'm only bringing that up because Kia is ultra popular at the moment. This design just makes me feel less basic. There's something about this design that just looks more luxurious, and I want your opinion, so comment below. So before we flip the car around and show you the back, I just want to talk about something specific, and that is the design. Because look, this line over here, it does such a disservice to have it in this color. In gray, it really pops. In certain colors, these lines really pop, and you can actually see the design cues, but in this color, you can't see it at all. And it's such a disservice to have it in this specific color. This line right here, so the shoulder line sort of fades away, and then they bring this dynamic line all the way through. And as I mentioned, like I saw this thing in other press releases and it was stunning, these lines, but in this color, meh, not so much. So the common test is the rear fender liners. They are carpeted front and back. That tells me this is a luxury vehicle, or it's at least very well insulated. This is the Buick key with some buttons on the front. Lock, unlock, remote start, and pop the trunk. Hit this twice, the trunk pops open, and it is power. And you can also do it by kicking it. You kick it, you let go, and it will close automatically. You can actually go in the system in the vehicle and you can set it to be that way. You can set it to lock and unlock, or open and close. And another piece they put in the Avenir is they've got a rear mirror camera. So that's why there's a camera up here and a camera down here. So this is for your backup camera, and that is for your rear camera mirror. You see, your backup camera is actually a mirror, and I'm going to show you guys that inside. So let's check the trunk before we jump inside. Measuring tape time, and from the back seats, now these middle seats do not slide back and forth. You've got 35 inches. This does have a spare tire and does have a block heater cable that's designed for colder climates. Let's jump in and check it out. All right, so I'm in the back of the 2021 Buick Avenir. Now, the first thing I notice is when I open this door, how long this rear door is. And this is where you can really tell its size. You can't really tell its size when you look at it because it's just designed very well to look sort of compact and small. But when you open this back door, it's long back door. Inside is where the Buick really shines because you can tell these are nice quilted seats. This is actually about 6 cubic feet larger than the XT4 and about 6 cubic feet smaller than the old generation Buick Envision. As far as creature comforts go in the back here, you do have heated seats left and right. You also do have a USB-C, a USB, and an actual full-out plug, not a cigarette lighter. As far as seating room in the back here, these seats are very comfortable. They actually have a really good seating position. They are not ventilated in the back. They appear that way, but they're not. It's got a nice, decent-sized panoramic sunroof, and everything is modern, up-to-date. It's got white LEDs everywhere, so that's really an indication to me of where we are in terms of the build of the vehicles, and white LEDs are basically today. All right, so I'm in the front seat of the Buick Avenir. And a few things to point out is there's no physical shifter. It's actually buttons. The park is silver. The reverse and drive are pull-ups. So if you're trying to move or engage, you have to pull up. If you want to put it in neutral or manual, you have to actually push down on the buttons. The other cool part about it is these dash buttons up here are all actually just blacked out. You cannot see what they do. They're actually just blank buttons. But when you start the car or put the accessory on, you can actually see they actually physically do something. In this specific case, it's the HVAC. So that's kind of cool. This screen is also a 10-inch screen versus the XT4 is an 8-inch screen, so there's an upgrade there. But overall, this whole dash is pointing towards me. The passenger actually probably can't see it. They can see it, but they're not really engaged in it because it's not flat like most cars. It's driver oriented, which is totally out of the blue when you think Buick. In the spirit of being modern, this does have Apple CarPlay, wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, and it does have full wireless charging right here. It also does have a USB-C, a USB, and a cigarette lighter up front here. But overall, the dash is all, as I mentioned, facing towards me. There's nothing really for the passenger to touch. The vents are kind of cool. Like, the vents are like squished kind of between the HVAC controls and this monster 10-inch screen. The only thing with them is that you can't get them to not blow air at you. You cannot just stop them and only blow air at the passenger. They're all kind of tailored towards you, which is probably one thing that I would change or stop. It does have heads-up display, and it does have the ability to open and close the front vents, which is sort of basic. Now, one feature you actually don't physically see are built into these seats, and that's basically like a vibration, and that's when you have a car coming that way on rear cross traffic alert, or you're backing up and you're about to hit something. It gives you a vibration in your seat to alarm you or to wake you up to know that you're going to hit something, or you got to hit the brakes and be careful. Now, these seats are sort of different. They've got lots of stitching in them, and they have perforations and sort of designs, and they try to sort of hug you, but they don't really hug you. As far as softness go, they're not exactly soft. I would say that they visually look better than they feel, but overall, it's a good feel. But I also wish that they would do slide forward and backwards in the headrest. They don't. They sort of just lean forward, and I'm not really a huge fan of the lean forward deal. I'd prefer them to be adjustable. This does have comfort access, so when I get in it, it moves the seat to where I was sitting before. And this is exactly the same as the Cadillac XT4. It's exactly, like to a T. This is Cadillac through and through. There's nothing about it that's not Cadillac, except that it says Buick right here and Buick right here. This screen is Cadillac. It is better because it's larger. It's very easy to use, and it does have some really cool car features. Now let me show you this. It's got something called buckle to drive, and you can set that on. And when you do, the first 20 seconds of the car being on, you actually have to put your seatbelt on. Otherwise, you cannot put the car in drive. You cannot drive it. So it's trying to push you to actually wear your seatbelt on all drives. It also has, obviously, you can adjust your collision detection systems, your lighting, your door locks, your seating position, but it has something cool called Teen Driver. And you can set up different parameters for your teen to be driving your Buick. At this price point, it gives you a lot of luxury amenities that a lot of other manufacturers don't, like automatic high beams. It allows you to adjust your remote start. It allows you to adjust when you come to the car how many lights you want on. So it's pretty customizable in terms of that way. But the main feature that I love about this car and some other GM product they make is this rear view camera mirror, because you can actually see what's behind you in the camera, like I mentioned on the back trunk. It's the coolest thing ever. It takes a while to get used to it because you're looking at it and it actually looks like a camera, not what's behind you. So kind of odd, but kind of cool, and that's probably my favorite part. Anyways, let's take this thing on the road and see how it handles. All right, so I'm driving the Buick 9-speed transmission. Let us feel it out. Now, this does have lumbar and it does have a massage piece, but it's done by the lumbar just moving back and forth. It's not a full shiatsu massage, which is pretty common. At least they offer that as a massage, so that's kind of standard. Right away, notice this is the steering wheel. The steering wheel up top is good. It's nice and grippy. Got a soft feel to it, but in the middle with all the controls on the front and the paddle shifters, and then there's the volume controls behind. So if you want to adjust a track, it's the left. If you want to adjust the volume, it's the right. But weirdly enough, it's very, very thick. And when you want to switch or turn the volume up, it's just like a click, click, click. So yeah, it's just very, it seems like my hand has to kind of swerve around to press it. It's kind of odd, but the display is nice and big. I actually really do like how the HVAC controls are up here as well as down here. You actually have two options that do the exact same thing, but just in a different format. One is nice and clear up here, and the other one's like small and modern down here. So kind of cool they offer that. And I will say the cameras in this thing, like all the rear view, the front cameras, all the cameras are very, very good quality. Like very good quality. There's manufacturers out there that have more expensive product with cheaper quality cameras. So I'm closing the shade with this panoramic sunroof here because I want to talk about the body roll. Now, they've put 20-inch wheels on this thing so that it handles fairly well, but the suspension is soft. It's just designed to be for its clientele. It's not firm whatsoever. You can hear a little bit of tire noise as it goes over bumps and stuff like that, but that's really the tire and the rim noise you're hearing. But the suspension is soft, so it does have that couch feel. It does do one of these, there's no doubt about it. It's not firm in any way. When I'm turning this steering wheel, I'm feeling very couch-like. Oh yeah, lots of body roll. But hey, this is what it's about. This is a Buick. So don't let the outside fool you and tell you that it's sporty. And don't let all this stuff fool you. There is some sportiness to it, and they've put 20-inch wheels, but the suspension is still Buick-ish. Nice, good, solid pedal feel when you brake. This armrest sort of weird. I don't know why it opens up like this. It should just really open up like this or slide forwards and backwards, because it doesn't slide. Kind of annoying. It should really slide. Come on, Buick. But the details are actually pretty good. This door panel is built well. Like, they've done a good job with this door panel. When I put my hand on the inside, there's nothing sharp cutting me. There's no cheap plastic. It's all has nice fit and finish on the inside of the door handle thingamajiggy on the inside here. So I can't find the best position for me to sit in these seats, but I think that's just getting used to. I always question why none of these seats in domestic product have long bottoms on the bottom. They're all fairly short. It's like my leg is like this. Tall guys, I mean, everybody's taller than me. My wife's like, that's not factually true, but being 5'8.5" is not a tall person. And for me, I would say that there's still about this much of my leg that's sticking out. So why they just don't make these longer, I just don't understand. But I absolutely love this rear mirror camera. I said that 3 times already, and that is something that they only do. GM only does this. Every other brand does not do it. They've got like side cameras in the dash here, but this is awesome. The other nice thing I like is that when you put your turn signals on, it's not an annoying turn signal. It's very quiet and subtle and like tick, 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 tick. It's nice. You know, it's a small weird things that you think about that are like, I don't mind that. That's actually pretty nice. Steering is very light. Again, it is kind of wobbly, and Buick has something called the Buick Confidence Plus, and this is basically safety features they give you. They give you like 9 safety features when you standard on all Buick Envisions, and that includes stuff like forward braking, pedestrian alert, keep you in your lane. It doesn't have lane centering, but it keeps you in your lane. Rear cross traffic alert. It's got rear assist, so if you're backing up and your seat vibrate, that kind of stuff. So it gives you all this host of safety features that it gives you in the car, because safety is like the word of 2020 and 2021. Everywhere you go, everybody's like, keep safe, stay safe, have a great day, but stay safe. So safety obviously is a factor in today's world in every realm of it. So they're throwing safety at everybody. Crazy, eh? Crazy world we live in. But be safe. So it's got some torque steer because we're in tour mode, and when you're in tour mode, you're actually in 2-wheel drive. So it actually is a front-wheel drive vehicle until I hit the mode button, and it goes from tour to all-wheel drive, and then sports also all-wheel drive, and then off-road. But I drive it in tour because I like to have that little bit of wheel spin. I like the fact that it pulls me left and right. It does have torque steer. That makes it feel like it's got more power than it actually has. I kind of like that stuff, especially when you drive these like sort of regular luxury appointed SUVs. You want to have something that has a little bit of fun, and a little bit of torque steer helps with that. But the only thing I will complain about is this piano black. They like to use this piano black, and I'm not really a fan of it because when the sun hits it, you can see the fingerprints, you can see the dirt, and yeah, you'd have to bring a microfiber cloth with you to clean it because it stains and marks. But piano black is a thing, I guess. Not for me. Huh, check this out. There is a Buick Rendezvous right next to me, and she looked at this thing for a good 3 seconds. Like, with the sun blazing in her eyes, she's like, what is that? Is that a Buick? Yeah, girl, it's a Buick Envision Avenir. But it is cool, man. Listen, they've got 2 increments of memory seat. They've got automatic windows on both windows. Yeah, sounds fairly basic, but at this price point, because it's priced very, very well, this model in Canada is $44,000 for the Avenir, which is priced pretty well because it, as I mentioned, is larger than the XT4. This thing does 0 to 60 or 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 7.2 seconds, whereas the XT4 does it in about 7.6 seconds. So it's a little bit faster than that. It's a little bit bigger. It's priced well. It's priced better. It does have a lot of bells and whistles. As I mentioned, the heads-up display is very easy to see. It's very light on its feet. Would I feel comfortable driving this thing at 100 miles an hour or at 150 kilometers an hour, just below the craziest speed limit? No, I don't feel like that. I feel like the suspension is just a little bit too soft for me. They try to make it tighter with those wheels and some of the modes you have, and because this does have damping suspension, it does tighten up when you're in sport, but it's still a Buick, and they still leave some of that integrity of their demographics because they've got Cadillac for that. So I hope you guys like this review on this Buick Envision Avenir, and if you guys would consider buying one, let me know in the comments below. Or you'd buy an XT4, let me know.